Hi everyone and welcome to another vlog. Grab yourself a cup of tea, get comfy and listen out for some more tips. So last time I did a vlog about flights, flying indirect and how you can get there cheaper than say flying with Virgin or British Airways or I don't know who. So I hope that's been helpful to you. I hope maybe those few tips are going to help you in the future if you're planning a trip to Florida. So today I thought I'd have a chat with you and talk a little bit about accommodation. So obviously there's a few ways you can stay out in Florida. You could have a hotel. There's Disney hotels, there's villas, condos. So whenever we've gone to Florida, so if I give you a bit of background, I first of all went to Florida when I was 7 with my parents and stayed in a villa. I then went when I was I think 12 and we stayed in a villa, and then we drove down to the Gold Coast for a week and stayed in a condo. So most of my holidays growing up were in villas, and I guess that now I take my children, I've kind of followed through with that, and we stay in villas. I have looked at Disney hotels in the past, and sometimes they seem appealing, but for us we like to have a solid base where we can go at the end of a really long tiring day, kids can get in the pool, it's our space, and that's kind of like what we like. We like a chilled out holiday. Now I'm not saying that staying in a hotel won't be chilled out, because I think when you go to Florida it is personal preference of what you like, but if you've not been before, obviously I can't really comment on hotels, it's not something I've ever done, but I can give you a little bit of information about villas. So the villa we've stayed at the last, I think 2 times, is in a place called Davenport, which isn't too far away from the parks. It's a little bit further to malls and outlets, but Davenport is kind of been an up and coming area, which has been developed on quite a bit since we first went a couple of years ago. It's a little bit away from things. We stayed a lot in Kissimmee before, and there's nothing wrong with Kissimmee, but it is, how can I say, is a faster pace. It's a lot busier, there's a lot going on, which for a lot of you that's probably absolutely ideal, but I think because we've been so many times, we found Davenport now that we really like. We found a villa through actually a notice board where my husband works, so we've used them a couple of times now. They're a lovely family, and it's kind of nice for us to go back, what we call like a home feeling. But previously I booked through Travel Republic from a villa. That's when I was kind of booking a villa and flights together, and then obviously I've then kind of learnt then to move on to booking my flights and accommodation separately. So there are lots of companies that you can book villas through. You've just got to Google and there's loads of places. Also a good company which I've used before, booking.com. They're quite good for villas, hotels, car hire. Last time I got my car hire through them and got a really good price. So there are lots of places you can get accommodation from, but I guess that if you've not been before, you've kind of got to maybe try one or the other to know what you would like for your family. Personally, having a family, when we've gone on holiday before, we've kind of steered away from hotel rooms, only because it normally means that a lot of my kids have got to share, and I've got big age gaps between my children. So I quite like the fact that my children can have probably, in fact, the last couple of times been a bedroom each. And loads more space. It's not cluttered. It's not all being on top of each other. But again, that's personal preference. If you like hotels, that might be absolutely perfect for you. So obviously you've got your flights, then your accommodation. If you don't want to book them separately, and maybe it's your first time going and that for you seems a little bit daunting, like I said before, there are companies that you can book all together. Booking.com, Travel Republic, they kind of search a package, but it is all separate, so you'd pay for your flights and accommodation together, but your flights will be separate to the accommodation. It's not through the same tour operator. So that's kind of for you to make the decision of what you would like your holiday to go and how you think would be best for your family. So I went twice as a child with my parents. Then I went with my mum and my dad, and they took my family and my brother's family. And then after that, we've been a couple of times together just as a family ourselves without my parents. And I think we've been so many times now, my husband knows his way around. It's a lot easier to go now than what it ever used to be because we've been there so many times. Car hire. So, like I said before, I booked my car hire through Booking.com and got a really good price. But if you are kind of unsure of where to go, a good base starting point is comparison sites. So go into loads of comparison sites, find a company. Now, one way that I've sort of saved up money is if I find a comparison site, I go through, I'm happy with the price, then try going through Quidco and put in that same company. And sometimes you can get cash back, which obviously is money in your pocket, for purely just going through Quidco. So I'd highly recommend Quidco, they are fantastic. I'm a little bit slack. I could probably do a lot more of my shopping through Quidco, but it's sometimes remembering to do it. But if you know that you've got a purchase that's, say, more than a couple of quid, it's probably worth trying to go through them because you might actually get yourself some cash back and a little bit more money in your pocket. Some people like car hire, some people like staying in hotels on site, and then you don't have to obviously use car hire, which can be daunting for some people. The roads in America are completely different to here. We obviously have a lot smaller roads. We have roundabouts. Out there you're looking at everywhere 4 or 5 lanes of traffic, no roundabouts. It can seem quite daunting. My advice with car hire would be to get a big car. Don't get some tiny little piddly car, because you are going to feel quite inferior on the roads, because out there their cars are huge. They've got big trucks, big people carriers, big SUVs. You don't see a lot of small cars on the roads, and it can be very intimidating if you're driving a small car and everyone else is in massive cars. I just think you feel a lot safer. So my advice would be, when looking for a car, is to get something that's fairly big or sturdy. Sometimes you can hire a car, then when you get out there you do actually get offered to upgrade. So we did that one year. We got a car that was designed for our size, but then when we got there we were offered an upgrade and decided to go for it, and glad we did because it had a lot more room. So we've hired lots of different cars in Florida. When I've gone with my parents, we've had almost like a minibus, which is huge, that seats like 12 to 14 people. But when we've gone by ourselves, we have gone for SUVs. We've had people carrier. And last time we went, last year, we actually got a Mustang, which was a bit of fun for the kids because there was only 4 of us, and then my daughter travelled out afterwards and had her own car. So Mustang is fun, but my husband does say that they aren't as great to drive as what people think they would. But it was nice, probably won't do it again, but it put a smile on the kids' faces. So obviously, depending on where you're going to stay will determine whether you need a car or whether you're going to be on site and using the Disney's transport. If you're staying at an independent hotel, a lot of them do have transfer buses anyway. I've never used public transport. We did look into it last time, but I'm not sure I would be willing to kind of use public transport. And in the height of summer, when the heat is so hot, so humid, the last thing I would want to be doing is stood in the beaming sun waiting for a bus. Ubers are another good thing. I've not personally used them, but not last time we went, but the time before, my daughter and her boyfriend used Ubers a lot, and they were dirt cheap. And I think when you sign up for an Uber account, I think you get a credit. I don't know if that's still available, but you get something like $20, $30, $40 credit. So I think for a few trips, my daughter actually travelled for free. And Uber's, I mean, I don't know much about Uber in this country, but Uber out there, you get to choose your driver. So if you want a female driver, then obviously you can choose a female driver to obviously make you feel a bit safer. So yeah, obviously depending on where you're going to stay, what accommodation, that is going to determine whether you need a car. Every time we've gone, we've always hired a car. So look in comparison sites, look at booking.com. It's hard to really say what price is going to be, because we went last year and that cost less to have a Mustang than what it did for the year before to have a people carrier. So I don't know whether things fluctuate on a year-to-year basis, or whether the year before, I mean, actually the year before we actually stayed for 4 weeks, so that probably would explain that as well, why it costs more, whereas last time I think we went for 2 weeks, I'm not even sure. So that would make a difference. But personally for us, we like hiring a car, we like having a villa, we kind of like that home from home feeling. I think sometimes people must wonder or make assumptions, which is completely normal in life because people do that, but probably think, how on earth can she afford to go out to Florida time after time after time? And probably if I was in that situation from outside looking in, I'd probably think, how on earth are they affording that? So a couple of years ago, so not last year but the year before, I celebrated my 40th birthday. Now for, I think it was 2 years, I saved nearly half my wages every month, which I look back now and I do kind of think, oh my God, how on earth did I do that? Because it was a lot of money. But I saw the end goal. I wanted to take my eldest daughter with us, and I wanted to pay for everybody. I wanted it to be an amazing holiday with not having to worry about money. And that year we did do everything. So we did all of Disney, we did all of Universal, water parks, we did loads of things. And we stayed out there for 4 weeks. And that's another tip I'd say, actually. Go for as long as you can. If you can go for 4 weeks, go for 4 weeks, because when you're booking your flights would be the same price whether you go for 4 weeks or whether you go for a week. So try and go for as long as possible, because although your accommodation will be more, you're actually saving technically money on flights. I saved like mad for 2 years and didn't skimp on anything on that holiday. I probably managed to save about £12,000 to £14,000, which I think a lot of people who've never been to Florida probably think, oh my God, how on earth can you spend that on a holiday? And I do understand if you've not been, but if you have been, you will know that you just can't put a price on that magic. And I know it might only be for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and it is a crazy amount of money when you think about it, when you really sit down and think about it. But life's short. None of us know how long we've got. Sometimes you just have to grab life and make the most of it and make memories for your kids, because your kids aren't going to look back and think, oh yeah, we lived in a nicely decorated house, or oh, we had this nice car, or oh, we had this or we had that. Kids remember memories, and I might not have, you know, bags of money in my bank account, but my kids are going to have amazing memories for when they're older. And I think that's kind of like where things started with me, is that when I was young, mum and dad never had loads and loads of money, but mum and dad used to save like mad every year for a holiday. And obviously it took me to Florida twice, but every year we'd have a holiday, whether it was to Spain, Greece, Cyprus. Every year we did a holiday, and normally a camping holiday as well. And I've just got so many memories of my childhood being just family time, spending time together, laughter. And because I think I had that kind of upbringing, I wanted my children to have exactly the same. So I obviously saved like mad for those 2 years. We had an amazing holiday. And then the following year, you get the bug. You want to go every single year, over and over and over. So in the following year, we wanted to go again, but had to do it on the cheap, because couldn't afford to do Disney World, couldn't afford to do the parks. So, but I also didn't want my children just having the villa, just having the pool, which I know that sounds completely ridiculous, because even just those things alone, it would be amazing. But we'd never done Discovery Cove again, so we decided to do Discovery Cove, and then you got tickets that came with it. So in actual fact, our time last year was still filled with lots of nice things, creating happy memories, laughter. And every time we go to Florida, we have this thing where we call it the Disney songs. So when you're out and you hire a car, if you hire a car, their radio stations just repeat the channels over and over and over again, and it's the same songs. So by the end of the holiday, you're brainwashed into these songs. You know the lyrics, you know everything. So every time we come away, we have what we call Disney songs. And even now to this day, even if it might have been a trip 4 or 5 years ago, something comes on the radio, we'll look at each other and we say, that's a Disney song. And even now, so we're not there, still now, little things give us a smile or a bit of happiness. I'm not tight with money, but I'm careful with money. So I always shop at Aldi or Lidl's. I know people don't like it. Not everyone does. Everyone likes their classics, Tesco, Asda. Not that there's anything wrong with those supermarkets, but obviously if you're saving for something, then other things not have to go, but you have to try and learn to save money in other areas. At the end of the day, food is food. You poop it out, however gross that is, but you do. So does it really matter if you shop at Aldi or Lidl's and save yourself 40 quid a month? Because that 40 quid a month, that soon adds up. I do things like buy my cleaning products from like Home Bargains, B&M. We went to the car boot today. I bought fresh vegetables, loads cheaper than supermarkets. There are loads of ways that you can save money. I think sometimes if you book a holiday and you know you've got an end goal and you know it's got to be paid off, whatever way you do it, you will end up paying it off. So I think it's just about being careful about money. What I did when we went away for my 40th, the way I saved money and the way I stopped myself from spending any money was I opened a premium bond account, and every month I would transfer a certain amount over to my premium bonds. It would stay there, and I think you have to give like something like 5-7 days notice to get it out. So it's not like you can easily get hold of your cash if 1 month you think, oh, I'm a bit skint, and just dip into savings. If that was in my savings account linked to my account, I would probably take £10 out here or £20 there. If it's in something separate like premium bonds and it's hard to get hold of, that is a really good deterrent for spending money. So you've just got to be, I suppose, a little bit frugal with money, a bit careful, think about things. I go to somewhere and I see something and I always ask myself the question, do I really need it? And if I think, no, I don't, I normally put it back down. I've got a nice house. My house is kind of like furnished nice. And again, I think that sometimes makes people think I've got loads and loads of money, but I am a bargain hunter. I will always find something for the cheap or less than what I want to pay for it. Or if there's something I really, really like, say like somewhere in Next, I know that, and I know it sounds really tight and stupid, but I know that that will eventually go in the sale. Just wait. Like, get it for half the price if it's something you really, really want. I think if you've got an end goal of really getting to Florida and it's something you want, you will find a way of getting there. And unless you've got bags of money in your bank account, then I think these videos are going to be useful for you, because they're going to help you get there for a lot less. And again, if you go there, why would you spend over the odds getting there and having a holiday there when you can do it for a lot less? So I really hope that this second vlog has been helpful to you. It's probably not as informative as the first with flights, because there isn't really much to go into when it comes to accommodation. You just got to look around. Yeah, there's not really that much to go into with accommodation. You haven't really got loads of options. You've got your Disney hotels, normal hotels, you've got really budget hotels, but I would be really careful with those. There was a documentary on a few months back, I think it was called the White Castle Hotel, which we've driven past loads of times, and there was a documentary about it, and there was like drug addicts there, and from the outside it doesn't actually look too bad, and you can actually book that accommodation from this country. So you've got to be really careful about what kind of accommodation you go for. I mean, when I say about saving money, you don't want to end up in some dive that's got, I don't know, drug addicts and things in. That's not what I mean. But there are places you can look at. You just got to do like, I mean, when I'm looking, I just normally go onto comparison websites, and I'll just keep going and going until I find a bargain. And actually, if you do find something on a website, before I book anything, so before I book flights, accommodation, car, anything, I always open a separate window, or I'll have my iPad open and I'll look on my phone at the same time. Always, always, always look for a promo code. Because I'm not saying there always is one, but I always find, well, not always, I do find a lot of promo codes, and whether that's 5% off, 10% off, the way you got to look on it is it all helps. All those little bits add up to saving you money off things. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this vlog again, and give it a thumbs up. Maybe leave a comment whether you're liking my vlogs. I am going to do more. I don't want to leave it as long from the last vlog to the next. And I don't know what I'll do my next vlog on actually. So I've done flights, I've done accommodation, I've done car hire. So maybe I'll get into lots of tips about when you get there. So thumbs up, hit that like button, and please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.